Would like to call to order the December 18th, 2017 meeting of the Cabarrus County Board of Commissioners. It's good to see everybody here tonight. We are happy to have with us tonight for the presentation of colors, Cub Scout Pack 254 from Bethpage United Methodist Church.
Color guard advance. Prepare to post your colors. Post your colors. Scout salute. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. After our invocation, we'll ask our Cub Scout pack to come back up and introduce themselves. At this time, we're very happy to have with us tonight for our invocation Father Jerome Chavarria, I usually call him Father Jerome for short, from St. James the Greater Catholic Church. Appreciate you being with us tonight.
Good evening, my dear brothers and sisters on the Board of Commissioners. We gather at this special time to recognize God's blessings to us, especially in our state, in our county, and in our lives. Let us pray. Almighty, eternal God, you have revealed your glory to all nations. We recognize in these days the wonder of your love and generosity. God of power and might, wisdom and justice, through you authority is rightly administered. Laws are enacted and judgment is decreed. Assist with your spirit of counsel and fortitude this gathering of leaders of our community, charged with the just stewardship of our resources. May their administration be conducted in righteousness and be eminently useful to your people who elect them for good leadership. May they seek to preserve peace and fairness, promote civic harmony, and continue to bless us, to bring us to the blessings of liberty and equality. In Jesus' holy name we pray, amen and amen.
Amen. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. We appreciate you being here. And now, if I were Cub Scout Pack 254 from Bethpage United Methodist Church, if you guys would come up to the front and speak into the microphone and tell us your name and what you enjoy about Cub Scouts. Commissioner Shue will have a pin for you to your left, my right, at the door after you introduce yourselves.
Hello, I'm Grayson Cook. My parents are Jeff and Christina Cook, and one thing I like about Cub Scouting is that we get to go on trips.
Great, thank you.
Hi, my name is Brooks Overcash. My parents are David and Rebecca Overcash, and one thing I like about Cub Scouts is that we get to meet every week and get to meet our friends.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Maddox Wyrick, and my parents are Matt and Meredith Wyrick, and what I enjoy about Scouts is we get to go on fun camping trips.
Thank you.
I am Hunter Cook. My parents are Jeff and Christina Cook, and my favorite thing about scouting is whenever we go to camps and stuff.
Thank you. We appreciate you guys being with us tonight. We're also very pleased to have with us at the front tonight Mariah Steele, who is one of our youth commissioners. Welcome, Mariah. We're glad to have you with us. Next, we move to the approval or correction of the minutes, and of course, you all have copies of those in front of you. Do I hear any corrections that need to be made to the minutes? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion that we approve the minutes as presented.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. I will also mention that Commissioner Honeycutt is not with us tonight. She is out of town on a trip for the holidays, so we certainly wish her well. At this time, I'm going to turn the meeting over to County Manager Mike Downs for our annual organizational meeting.
Okay, this is the time where the board elects their. This is the time when the board elects their chairman for the ensuing year. So with that, I will open the floor for nominations for the position of chair of the Board of County Commissioners.
Mr. County Manager, there's an old saying that says, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And so with that being said, I'd like to nominate our current chair, Commissioner Morris, for another year to be our chairman. He has served us so well, and I really, for one, appreciate all that you do, Steve. And most people don't realize what all's involved in this. It's a heavy burden, no doubt. But I wanted to nominate you to do our chair again, if you will.
Thank you. So we have a nomination for Mr. Morris. Are there any other nominations?
Mr. County Manager, I would like to second that motion or that nomination.
Okay. Have a motion and a second for Mr. Morris. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? We'll close the nominations. And Mr. Morris, as you have been duly motioned and seconded, congratulations. You are now the, yeah, well, you can vote by acclamation or so.
Is it by acclamation or?
All those in favor of Mr. Steve Morris as chairman, please signify by saying aye. All those against? Mr. Morris, you have been duly elected as chairman again for the ensuing year of 2018. Congratulations.
Thank you. Okay, do you conduct vice chairman, or do you want me to?
That's you.
That's me. Okay. Thank you all. I appreciate that vote of confidence, and it is a pleasure to serve. And at this time, I would open the floor for nominations for election for vice chairman of the Board of Commissioners for the upcoming year.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to nominate Commissioner Honeycutt to continue in her role as vice chairman.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion that we elect Commissioner Honeycutt vice chairman by acclamation.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. Thank you very much. Okay, we move now to approval of the agenda, which you all have a copy in front of you. And at this time, there are some changes on page 344. So I would entertain a motion to approve the meeting agenda, including the changes on page 344.
Motion, we accept the amended agenda.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion passes. And we move now to recognitions and presentations. We are happy to have Jay Wood from Veteran Services with us for several presentations. Welcome.
Congratulations, Mr. Chairman, on another year.
Thank you.
Distinguished board members, thank you for being here tonight. It is my pleasure and privilege as the Director of Veteran Services to recognize some of our Cabarrus County business family tonight for their very generous donations in support of Cabarrus County Veterans Services. What you may not know is this past October, as part of a state collective scholarship drive for veterans in the state of North Carolina, Cabarrus County put together a basket of Cabarrus County goodies. And we had some very nice donations from some folks that we would like to recognize tonight. They helped us raise the leading county amount of over $750 towards scholarships for veterans and their families in the state of North Carolina. So first, I would like to recognize from Bob and Kay's Green Acres Honey, Mr. Bob Doty. Bob is a master beekeeper and a veteran himself. And on behalf of Cabarrus County, I would like to present you with this small token of our appreciation. Bob, thank you for your donation on behalf of veterans this year.
Thank you very much, Daddy.
Great.
And we're going to turn, and we're going to get a photo right here. There we go. Good. Bob, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next, I would like to recognize Tom and Deb Filkins. They are the owners of Cougar Run Winery. They donated, if you please come up, some of their fine wine selections to go in the basket, and we really appreciate their donation this year in support of Veterans Services as well. So if you would please, on behalf of Veterans Services, accept this small token of our appreciation. We hope you'll hang it up inside the winery so that you can...
We surely will.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you very much.
We're going to turn this way and get a photo.
Okay.
And would you all like to take a second to
Get that automatic weapon back there.
Yeah.
bit about what you've done with Toys for Tots this year while you're here? I know it's on your
Well,
Facebook page, you said.
We've supported Toys for Tots for over 20 years. We used to have it at our house, and it was started as a poke to our friends who got into the Oh Poor Me stuff at Christmas. So when we got the winery, we just had a bigger stage. Last year, we had the opportunity to purchase 27 bikes, and our employees, no one in the winery accepts tips. They all go into what we call the Tips for Tots program, and we save the money all year. Well, this year we were able to purchase 38 bikes because of the generosity of the community, but it mushroomed from there. We were given matching donations, more money, more donations, and today Tom went and purchased the last of the bikes. We topped out at 105.
Very good.
Merry Christmas. Thank you so much. And last but definitely not least, Miss Leanne Powell, the president and CEO of Southern Grace Distilleries, who is also here with her husband Drew tonight. And on behalf of Cabarrus County, thank you so much for this very generous donation that you made.
Our pleasure.
Not only some of their spirits did they donate, but also a tour to the whiskey prison and some very nice craft earrings that have moonshine mash in them, and they were a hit. Thank you so much.
Thank
Leanne.
you. It's
Merry
our
Christmas
pleasure.
to y'all. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. I will repeat what I said to Jay before the meeting. A brewery, a distillery, and honey, it doesn't get any better than that, so we appreciate it. Okay, next from Emergency Medical Services, Alan Thompson has a recognition.
I would invite Lieutenant Kara Clark and Master Paramedic John Bell to come forward. It is my honor to be here tonight to recognize two very important parts of our organization. Cabarrus County EMS has a long history of outstanding performance in paramedic competitions across the state of North Carolina, and then also through a group called the Carolinas Paramedic Competition. This year, we're very fortunate that we had Lieutenant Clark and Master Paramedic Bell represent us at Fayetteville in the October competition. The competition was held October 13th and 14th. The teams performed extremely well in this two-day event. The event pitted them against teams from North Carolina and South Carolina. They participated in written exams, practical scenarios. They were judged on scene management, professionalism, and clinical decision-making. Both members of the team did outstanding. We're very fortunate that John actually placed second in the written exam. So out of all the teams, the way this written exam works is all of the information you're not supposed to know and all the information that's in the fine print that you really never pay attention to, that's what they test on. And John did his best, represented the county well, and took second place in that. So I'm very proud of both Lieutenant Clark and Master Paramedic Bell for their performance. And looking at these two and looking at their performance, this is what we take to the citizens of Cabarrus County each day. These medics pour their hearts into study, they pour their hearts into preparation so that when the tones go off, then they're bringing the best to the citizens of the county. So I'm very thankful for both of them. And I present you both with a certificate. We've got a plaque back at the office already. A certificate of appreciation for your performance, your professional performance at the 2017 Carolinas Paramedic Competition. Thank you. And also to you, Lieutenant Clark.
Thank you very much.
Would either of you care to say anything?
I would just say thank you for your support. Obviously, I have a great support system from my leadership, and he can't do it without a great support system from his leadership. So I appreciate you guys letting us go do things like that and represent the county. And it's a great training tool. I mean, I feel like I learned some things in a game that I can take to the real world and better help the people of this county. So thank y'all.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I just want to congratulate my partner in the competition, John, for getting second. I apparently need to brush up on my test skills so I can beat him next year. But hopefully we'll be able to come back next year with a win and a plaque to present to you guys. So thank you again for letting us, and thank you for allowing us the opportunity. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, and congratulations. We just, before this meeting, completed employee service recognitions here in the county. And how many years were we talking about, Mike?
1,385.
1,385 years of service from county employees, like the two outstanding ones we just heard from. And those are the things that really makes Cabarrus County a great place, and we appreciate what you do. Okay, next up we have Cabarrus County 225th Anniversary Resolution. And as a matter of introduction, December 29th will mark the 225th year anniversary for Cabarrus County. The North Carolina Assembly formed the county from northeastern Mecklenburg on December 29th, 1792. It was named Cabarrus in honor of the popular Speaker of the House of Representatives, Stephen Cabarrus of Chowan County. And we have a resolution to present tonight in recognition of that anniversary that I will read to you now. A resolution of the Board of Commissioners of Cabarrus County, North Carolina, marking the 225th anniversary of the founding of Cabarrus County and recognizing the establishment of the county. Whereas during the time population increased in the area following the American Revolutionary War, the northeastern part of Mecklenburg County was taken by the North Carolina legislature for Cabarrus County in 1792. Cabarrus County was formed on December 29th, 1792 from Mecklenburg County. It was named in honor of Stephen Cabarrus of Chowan County, Speaker of the North Carolina House of Commons. And whereas in July 2017, the population of Cabarrus County was 205,473. The county includes the cities of Concord, Kannapolis, and Locust, as well as the towns of Harrisburg, Midland, and Mount Pleasant. The county seat is Concord, And whereas 2017 marks the 225th anniversary of Cabarrus County, marking decades of remarkable history, extraordinary human endeavor, unique and essential diversity, tireless civic and social activism, heroic individual and community accomplishments, selfless sacrifice, progressive idealism, shrewd and innovative governance, an outstanding local economy, and a caring populace. And whereas since its inception, Cabarrus County has been a great neighbor and true friend to surrounding counties, often leading by example or co-championing causes of spectacular value to residents. And therefore be it resolved that Cabarrus County Board of Commissioners hereby proclaim the year 2017 in the county of Cabarrus County's 225th anniversary in the county of Cabarrus, and urge all citizens to join in celebrating the county of Cabarrus's biquinquagenary anniversary, adopted this 18th day of December 2017. So at this time, I would entertain a motion that we adopt the resolution as presented.
I'll make a motion, we adopt the resolution, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Do I hear a second? I'll second that. Okay, any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. And so we also do hereby further proclaim that every resident of Cabarrus County should learn how to pronounce biquinquagenary. I figured it out, so we'll have to work on that. We're also happy today to have a proclamation declaring Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I'll read that proclamation as well. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day Proclamation. Whereas to honor the legacy of one of America's most admired civil rights leaders, in 1983, Congress passed a bill providing for the third Monday of January to be observed as Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and President Ronald Reagan signed the bill into law. And whereas Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. devoted his life to advancing equality, social justice, and opportunity for all, and challenged all Americans to participate in the never-ending work of building a more perfect union, and whereas Dr. King's teachings can continue to guide and inspire us in addressing challenges in our communities, and whereas the King Holiday and Service Act, enacted in 1994, designated the King Holiday as a national day of volunteer service, and whereas since 1994, millions of Americans have been inspired by the life and work of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to serve their neighbors and communities on the King Holiday. Whereas serving on the King Holiday is an appropriate way to honor Dr. King, meet our local and national needs, bring our citizens together, and strengthen our communities and nation. And whereas the King Day of Service is the only federal holiday commemorated as a national day of service and offers an opportunity for Americans to give back to their communities on the holiday and make an ongoing commitment to service throughout the year. And whereas each of us can and must contribute to making our communities better with increased opportunity for all our citizens, and whereas citizens of Cabarrus County have the opportunity to participate in events throughout our county on the King Day of Service, January 15th, 2018, as well as create and implement community service projects where they identify the need. Now therefore be it resolved, the Cabarrus County Board of Commissioners hereby proclaims Monday, January 15th, 2018 as Dr. Martin Luther King Day, in Cabarrus County and encourages all citizens to join in the special programs and ceremonies to be held on January 13 through 15, honoring the life and work of Dr. King and his legacy of peace and equality for all citizens. Do I hear a motion that we adopt this proclamation as presented? Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. Okay, we now move to informal public comments, and we do have two yellow cards that have been submitted tonight. If you would come to the front and state your name and address, and please speak into the microphone. And first we have Chuck Collier.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. My name is Chuck Collier. I've been a resident of Concord for 30 years, over 30 years, and I attend All Saints Episcopal Church. Thank you for allowing me to speak briefly about an issue that is important to Cabarrus County today and in the future. Racial reconciliation is a topic that needs your attention now. In the last 2 years, racial tensions in our country have become increasingly evident. Most recently, we have seen the effects of white supremacy played out in Charlottesville, Virginia. We know that there were many in the African American community in Charlotte that kept their feelings about the inequities they suffered for many years below the surface until 15 months ago, following the shooting of Keith Lamont Scott. Many in the white community wondered what had happened. Why were they suddenly so angry? Today, there are many leaders in our community who want to do something to improve the quality of racial relationships locally, and have been taking action by offering opportunities for conversations on the history of race and racism. The next step is to offer racial equity training to the community. In fact, white and black pastors of 6 churches in Concord and Kannapolis have partnered to bring racial awareness training to Cabarrus County in 2018. To date, they have contracted for a 1-half-day event on Saturday, February 10th at the Art Council's Davis Theater. They have scheduled 4 2-day events, 1 in a local church and 3 in the Concord Police Headquarters. These pastors have sought and received grants that provide for dozens of full scholarships to city and county employees for each of the 2-day events in order to reduce the cost of this valuable training to local government. I encourage this commission and the city councils in Cabarrus County to embrace racial reconciliation in our county and to support this highly effective racial awareness training by sending your employees to attend. I respectfully request the opportunity to address the next quarterly Cabarrus Summit in March. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you. Okay, we also have a card from Caleb Sanderlin.
Good evening. My name is Caleb Sanderlin, like you said. Thank you for letting me speak. And I am here on behalf of all workers in my industry. What I do is I tie steel to reinforce bridges and buildings, quite like these we stand on today. I had worked for this company that they call them Border Rebar. That's the name of the company. And there's issues with the company regarding safety. In my instance, I was actually injured on the job and not received workers' compensation or medical bill pay. They're not giving safety equipment or trainings to their workers. And this company has worked in this county, many other counties. You may or may not be aware of them, but it's just here to let you guys know and aware of companies like this that are out there doing the business. And I am actually on strike, as well as some workers here today with me. We are fighting for our rights and trying to let you guys know that these type of companies shouldn't be hired because of these issues. And I have for each of you the information of the company. If you have done work with them in the past or are going to do work in the future, I know a lot of construction is coming, then you need to be aware of these type of companies. So thank you.
Thank you. If you'll give that to our clerk, she can distribute it to the board members. Thank you. And that's all of the yellow cards that have been turned in tonight. If there's anybody else that would like to speak, please indicate so now. Seeing no one, we will move on to the consent agenda. And of course, you have the consent agenda in front of you, and these are all items that we discussed at our work session earlier in the month. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
Mayor, I'll move for approval.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes, and we move now to new business. First up, from Finance, presentation of the fiscal year 2017 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, and we're happy to welcome Susan Fearington to the podium.
I placed a packet in front of each of your chairs for the, looks like this, for the audit, so we'll follow along with that tonight. So this evening I want to present to you the 2017 Fiscal Year Comprehensive Annual Financial Report. We call that the CAFR, so that's for short. If approved tonight, the CAFR will be available on the county's website tomorrow. We'll post that for everyone to see. The document is prepared with great precision and involves a long process with the help of the majority of the Finance Department. This time I want to thank Suzanne Burgess, Douglas Brewer, the County Manager's Office, and the entire Finance Department staff. Without their help, the audit and the CAFR preparation would not be possible. Management is responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. After the CAFR is prepared by the county, it is reviewed by the auditors and then submitted to the Local Government Commission for approval. This year's CAFR was presented to the Local Government Commission on November 14th and was approved on December 12th. The county also submits the CAFR each year for the Government Finance Officer Certification Program for Excellence in Financial Reporting. The fiscal year 2016 was the 32nd consecutive year that we've received this award, and we will be submitting the 2017 CAFR within the next week and a half. The first letter that's on page 2 of your handout is the Independent Auditor's Report. This letter basically states that the county has an unmodified opinion on our financial statements, which is the best opinion to receive. The letter also states that there were no financial statement findings. The second letter is the responsibility letter, and that begins on page 5 of your handout. The letter makes sure that the reader knows that management is responsible for the selection and use of appropriate accounting policies. It also explains accounting estimates and other issues that might arise during the audit. There were no issues noted. The next couple pages for your reference. So the general fund balance sheet is on page 7. The statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance is on page 8 of your handout. And this is for the general fund. The general fund is our main operating fund. And tonight, I will not go through each line item, but I'm more than happy to meet with any of you individually to go over either the balance sheet or the income statement or both for any questions. But the most important thing that usually the commissioners want to hear about is our fund balance. So we'll spend a little bit more time on our fund balance. On page 9, you'll find some of the highlights, and I'll just point out a few of them, and I've also got that printed for you because sometimes I will call out numbers and it's hard to write them down fast enough. So for 2017, when we have our recap, we had our revenues over our expenditures of $5.2 million. But actually, if you look at it, the revenues were $10 million over. They came in over the amended budget for our revenues, and expenditures were $11 million, 11.9 actually, under our amended budget for the expenditures. So you might want to say, well, why does it just go up $5.2 million? And if you'll remember, each year during tonight's meeting last year, we make a motion to have our excess fund balance policy. We enact that, and we are able to transfer money to our capital reserve for our one-time projects. So last year, we were able to transfer $14.5 million, and that has to be ran through our financial statements. So that's why it looks a little bit distorted. But we were able last year to, like I said, transfer $14.5 million, and I also have some of the projects that we were able to fund for because we had that excess money. So some of the highlights there, and they're listed. For Cabarrus County Schools, we had 20 mobile units that we were able to place at the schools for growth, 10 new school buses. For the new high school, we were able to pay cash for our architect and engineering for the new high school that's coming on board in 2 years. And for our new elementary school, we had to make a $640,000 balance of the land that's needed for that project that's coming up in the next 2 years also. For Kannapolis City Schools, we were able to fund our Kannapolis Middle School furniture and fixtures and technology. We are renovating Carver, and we were able to give us another $670,000 towards that project. And then we had change orders for our Kannapolis Middle School, if you remember, and that totaled $666,000 that we've made for that school. And for our Rolling Cabarrus Community College, we were also able to pay for our architect and some of the owner's cost for $1.5 million for the Advanced Technology Center. So that was some of the highlights of, and there was many other smaller projects, but those are the ones that were $500,000 and above that we were able to fund with that $14.5 million that we transferred to our capital reserve fund at this meeting last year. So for 17 that we're in right now, looking at, the biggest areas where our revenues were over budget were in the areas of property tax and sales tax. So the property tax rate increased, which is great. It went from 98.19% collection rate to up to 99.05% with the fiscal year 17. We also, keep in mind, that was our reval year for 2006 tax reval year is incorporated into our fiscal year 17. And there's also, we continue to see increases in our new construction and real estate improvements. Our sales tax last year increased 7.62%, and so that equated up to $46 million last year for sales tax. The biggest areas for our expenditures where they were under budget were in the areas of, we had reappropriations for projects that just were not completed by year end. Most of that was for school-related projects, 3.9 million of that. And then also our county departments were conservative, which resulted in another $7 million of savings. Of those $7.2 million savings, the largest areas were human services, where we have $2.5 million under budget due to reduced expenses in transportation, economic services, and child welfare. And our county salary and fringes were $2.3 million under budget due to unfulfilled positions and turnover. On page 10, the last of the handout, is the fund balance calculation. This is where we calculate that 15% fund balance policy each year. So of the amount, we show a ending fund balance of $85.5 million, but we can't spend that much. We have different appropriations that we have to set aside. So we have non-spendable, restricted, committed, and assigned fund balance that we have to take away from that before we can ever look at the fund balance of policy. So after doing that, and we took the budget into consideration for the new year to the 15%, we were able to come up with a preliminary transfer of $11.5 million. But since the July 1st, the commissioners have made a couple of arrangements to use some of that fund balance, and I've got them noted for you. If you remember, we had an incentive grant that we funded, and then we had a Carolina Thread Trail property, and then we funded the Cabarrus County Schools new elementary school utility extension cost and the architect and engineering fees. And then in this tonight's consent agenda, we approved SMG incentives. And so right now, we have excess for future projects of $10,347,778. So those funds, if approved tonight, will be transferred to our capital reserve fund. And during your retreat next month, there will be a long list of projects that you can choose from to spend that for one-time projects. So, and in your agenda packet also, there's a budget amendment to make that transfer and a project ordinance that will be part of the motion at the end of the presentation. So all that is in your agenda packet for the transfer, so the money will be available. I want to switch gears to our compliance. As you remember, last year we had 13 compliance findings, which are in their DHS when they do testing for eligibility. We had some issues last year that we needed to drill down and correct. And as you recall, each quarter I was presented a letter to you from our Department of Human Services showing the updates on what they were doing to improve their processes, improve their documentation and their second-party reviews. And so we went from 13 compliance findings for our fiscal year 2016 audit to this year we're having 2 compliance findings. So the hard work's paid off, and like I said, that it was in the areas of documentation and review. And we have new auditors this year, Elliott Davis, and they'll be able to explain some of the compliance issues with you when they're presented. So at this time, I would like to introduce our new firms, Elliott Davis, and we have Tom Inesh here, and he's our shareholder, and C.J. Palmer is our senior manager, and they're both from Elliott Davis, and I would like for them to come to the podium, or one or both, and speak on behalf of the Elliott Davis, and then I'll come back and finish up.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, want to start off by thanking Ms. Farrington and her team for all the hard work that they did to accentuate or to facilitate the audit process. The comprehensive annual financial report is just that. It's comprehensive, and the process of not only preparing it but having us come in and perform the audit process requires a lot of work on the part of your finance team, so we appreciate that. As we go through that process, we have expectations in terms of not only the accuracy of the information that we receive, but also that it's timely and that it's fluid. If that's not the case, if we feel like we're being stonewalled or not getting the information that we need, then it's our obligation under the auditing standards to come to you as the governing board. We did not have that. As I said, I think the process went very well. As you know, the financial statement audit and the single audit, 2 separate engagements that we perform. With the financial statement audit, the objective is for us to provide our independent opinion as to whether the comprehensive annual financial report is fairly stated in all material respects. That's important in terms of the primary users. In addition to y'all as the governing board, the primary users of the financial statements are going to be the rating agencies, the folks that perform the creditworthiness assessment of the county. And what they're looking for is that third-party opinion as to whether they can rely on those financial statements, whether they're correctly stated, and whether they can use them to perform their analysis and perform that credit analysis. Separate from the financial statement audit, as Ms. Farrington mentioned, we perform a single audit, and that's where we're looking at compliance with state and local grants on the part of the county. Coming into the audit as your new auditors this year, we were aware of the extensive findings in the prior year, so that was an audit risk area for us. I mentioned that to say that we did bear down on that and focus on it to determine whether those areas had been shored up and remedied. And we did find that as Ms. Farrington pointed out, for the most part, those items were addressed. So we were glad to see that as a result of our extensive testing there. With the 2 items that we ended up having repeated findings in terms of documentation, on both of those issues, we're required by the uniform guidance and the auditing standards to follow up on those for next year. Your finance team has given us corrective action plans in writing, so we have something specific that for next year's audit we will bear down on those and make sure that those have been remedied and then report to you as a result of that. So in both cases, in terms of the financial statement audit and the single audit, as Ms. Farrington mentioned, the opinions that we gave were the opinions that where you want it to be, they were unmodified. So in other words, for the financial statement audit, in our opinion, the financial statements were fairly stated in all material respects, and that is a clean or unmodified opinion. In terms of compliance with your state and federal grants, by the same token, in performing our audit tests, we feel that the county complied in all material respects with those major program requirements. So the risk there being, if that was not the case and you had material noncompliance, you could have federal state granting agencies that would want refunds of those grant proceeds based on the fact that compliance requirements were not followed. So I think a good audit process this year, and we'll continue as your new auditors to build on this initial year that we've got under our belts, and continue to report to you the status of the compliance and the financial statements on an annual basis. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
I can certainly take any questions that you might have.
Any questions? Thank you very much.
Sir.
Also failed to ask if you had any questions about the numbers I provided earlier. So is there any questions at this point about your fund balance or the revenues or expenditures? And if you come up with any later, feel free to reach out to me. Okay. So again, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank my staff, Suzanne Burgess, Douglas Brewer, in the County Manager's Office, and the entire finance staff for assisting in the areas of completing the audit and the CAFR. And so the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report for 2016-17 and the 15% fund balance policy budget amendment and the related project ordinance are submitted to you for approval.
Great. Thank you very much. Any questions for Ms. Farrington? Okay. Well, that all sounds good. And believe it or not, all the little bits and pieces, I remember them. They come together very well in this report. So it makes sense now. So thank you very much for all that work and for getting such a good report. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to accept the fiscal year 2017 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report as presented and to approve the related budget amendment and capital reserve project ordinance.
Chairman, I'll move for approval.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. Thank you. Next up, we have an addition to our new business, a replacement of a dishwasher. And County Manager, I think, is going to tell us about that. Or
Pam's going to.
Deputy County Manager is going to tell us about that.
I appreciate you adding this item to the agenda because equipment doesn't understand timetables. We were able to release about $1.1 million of of contingency that we had set aside for the school systems. Their student population numbers came in under budget and did not need additional funding for charter schools. So we planned in January to present a couple of one-time projects. However, the jail dishwasher decided not to wait till January, and it is in poor condition. We've done substantial repairs to it, and when we were planning the agenda item for January, it broke down again. And so we are coming before you to go ahead and request permission to spend $75,000 to replace the dishwasher in the jail so that we do not have to continue to purchase styrofoam to feed our inmates. And so that's what we're here before you this evening, to utilize that money, and there'll be other projects in January and probably more coming forth after that to utilize that excess money that we have in contingency.
Okay, any questions for Ms. Dubois?
Just a couple for my general, and Kyle may be better suited to, how old, is this the original piece of equipment?
Yeah, it's 10 years old.
It's 10 years old?
Mhm.
And typically, I don't know much about commercial washing machine, dishwashers. What's the typical estimated useful life?
Depends on the beating that you put on them, but I'd say 8 to 12 years.
Okay, so we're right
Yeah,
there.
we've got a Hobart now, which is a very good piece of equipment if you know commercial kitchens. We've built a couple of them now, so this is it's not my first merry-go-round with them, but we're replacing with a Champion. My recent issues with it have all been moisture related. I've reworked ductwork in there to try to get condensation to go in a different direction, but I keep shorting the system out entirely. It's become both a plumbing, a structural, and an electrical hazard right now. And this is a complete rip-out deal. I had already had it in the budget. Our budget's already our project budget for next year is already, 100 items long, and we had it in for next year, but we're just throwing preventive maintenance money away.
Right.
Every week, it's a breakdown, it's a call-out. I do have a service contract with a company, very reputable company that comes out and PMs all of our equipment. The way the contract is written is I have a certain amount set forth for PMs, both on the hot side and cold side of jail kitchen equipment, and then I have a certain amount of money for repairs. Well, this dishwasher is eating up all my repair money, and I don't have it for the other 27 pieces of equipment in there.
Okay, so the old piece was Hobart, the new one's Champion.
It's Champion, yes. Whaley, who is the company that handles our PMs over there and is an extremely reputable company in commercial kitchens. I believe the Arena has a contract with them also. We started in the jail with them, my first contract with them was 7 years ago. And they rep several different pieces of equipment, one of them being Champion. And that is why they brought that to my attention, is they felt the piece of equipment would hold up to the type of environment that it's operated in.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Thank
yes,
you,
sir.
Kyle.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, what would be your pleasure on this one?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion that we adopt the budget amendment for the dishwasher, for the jail.
Great, thank you.
Got to have clean dishes, quit buying styrofoam.
That's right. We're ruining the environment. So do I hear a second to that motion?
I will second that motion.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. And we now move to appointments to boards and committees. First up is the Cabarrus County Senior Advisory Board. Current Cabarrus County Senior Centers Advisory Council members Myra Bumgardner, Sherman Childers, Margaret Dorton, and Gail Linker have terms that expire December 31st, 2017. Myra Bumgardner and Sherman Childers are willing to serve another term. Margaret Dorton and Gail Linker have requested they not be reappointed, creating 2 vacancies on the advisory council. We do have 2 applications for folks that would be willing to serve on that board. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to remove Margaret Dorton and Gail Linker from the Cabarrus County Senior Centers Advisory Board and thank them for their service. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. Further entertain a motion to reappoint Myra Bumgardner and Sherman Childers to the Cabarrus County Senior Centers Advisory Council for 3-year terms ending on December 31st, 2020. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. And I would move to appoint Ted Drain and Elizabeth Bennett to the Cabarrus County Senior Centers Advisory Council for 3-year terms ending on December 31st, 2020. I'll take that as a second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. And we now move to, I can get my machine to cooperate. The Cabarrus Rowan Metropolitan Planning Organizational Technical Coordinating Committee and Transportation Advisory Committee. Each year, the Board of Commissioners has to appoint or reappoint representatives to the Cabarrus Rowan Metropolitan Planning Organizational Technical Coordinating Committee, also known as the TCC, and the Transportation Advisory Committee, known as the TAC. Staff requests that Susie Morris, Planning and Zoning Manager, be appointed as the Cabarrus County TCC representative, and that Phil Collins, Senior Planner, be appointed as the alternate representative. The Board of Commissioners will also need to appoint or reappoint a commission member to serve on the TAC, along with an alternate. Commissioner Liz Poole currently serves as a representative for Cabarrus County, and I serve as the alternate. Would you be willing to continue to serve, Commissioner Poole? And I am willing to continue as alternate. So I would first entertain a motion to reappoint Susie Morris, Planning and Zoning Manager, as a Cabarrus County TCC representative, and appointing Phil Collins, Senior Planner, as the alternate representative. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. And I would also entertain a motion to reappoint Commissioner Liz Poole and as the representative to serve on the TAC, and Commissioner Steve Morris to serve as the alternate on the TAC.
Move for approval. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. And we move to the appointments to the NC 73 Council of Planning member appointments. Each year, the Board of Commissioners has to appoint or reappoint representatives to the NC 73 Council of Planning. Staff requests that Susie Morris, Planning and Zoning Manager, be reappointed as a Cabarrus County representative, and that Phil Collins, Senior Planner, be appointed as the alternate representatives. We also need to appoint or reappoint a commission member to serve on the NC 73 COP, along with an alternate. Currently, Commissioner Diane Honeycutt serves as the representative, and Commissioner Poole serves as the alternate. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to reappoint Susie Morris, Planning and Zoning Manager, as the Cabarrus County representative, and appointing Phil Collins, Senior Planner, as the alternate representative to the NC 73 Council of Planning Committee. Okay. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Commissioner Poole, would you be willing to serve as alternate on that committee again? And since Commissioner Honeycutt is not here, I suggest we reappoint her and ask her afterwards. So I would entertain a motion to reappoint Commissioner Diane Honeycutt as a representative on the NC 73 Council of Planning, and Commissioner Liz Poole as the alternate.
Move for approval.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. And we move now to reports. First, we're from the Board of Commissioners. Any updates from commission members who serve as liaisons to municipalities or on various boards or committees? Does anybody have anything they would like to report tonight? Okay, I would also extend an invitation to our Youth Commissioner, Mariah Steele, if you have anything you would like to say to us. I put you on the spot without any advance notice. Sorry about that.
I'd just like to say thank you for letting me sit on your board and listen to all the new things. And I've learned a lot, especially about the financial report. That was very nice, and I want to thank you for coming and speaking to us about that. It was very, different, and I understood it this time. And about the jail, that was actually pretty cool because I didn't know anything about that, or that it could cost so much for like a dishwasher.
Well, we are happy to have you with us and welcome you back anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, are there any other general comments by board members? Okay, we do not have need of a closed session tonight, so at this time I would entertain a motion that we wish very Merry Christmas greetings to all Cabarrus County residents and adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. All opposed, no, and we stand adjourned. Thank you.